rarely does the favorite play with more urgency. But Dallas has a long runway on with Luka. They got 10 years of this. But you could make an argument, this is it. Like, Steph's getting older. Klay's not the same guy. How long can Draymond go? I mean, I look at them right now, and I'm like, they played with an urgency last night you often don't get with a dominant favorite. I mean, do you think this is their last potential run at a title?
I wouldn't go that far, but I do agree with the idea that the thought that Klay, Dre, and Steph are back, and so we're back to 2015, 2016, is not an accurate one. They do have reinforcements coming, but can Jordan Poole be all of that? And how are you going to make that transition where now he becomes a dominant piece of it and Klay and Steph become more complementary pieces? Is James Wiseman is he ever going to show up? Can Jonathan Kuminga come in and be a defender at the level that Draymond Green was and be an offensive weapon? I can see where someone is being optimistic and say, look, all the pieces are there to continue and you can add life to Steph, Klay, and Dre. But that is really an insult to how special they were in their heyday. And for example, the missing piece, Andre Iguodala, and how vital he was to the last run, and he's not there. So I don't know if it's urgency where, hey, we got to take this opportunity while we can, or simply it's also a matter of how they play. They're going to play at a faster pace than the Dallas Mavericks are, and I think that's one of the great issues facing Luka and the Mavs is that the Warriors just play in a different way than the Phoenix Suns do.
That's right.
They are much more difficult to decipher and to find the puzzle pieces to slow them down. And that's going to be the challenge. I do think that they are going to rise to that challenge as the series goes on, that this is going to be a competitive series. If nothing else, they're going to be a much different team in Dallas than they were here. This is not an invincible Warriors team by any stretch of the imagination. They have a lot of they have a lot of self-inflicted wounds.
Right.
But as of right now, as long as the Warriors don't do what the Phoenix Suns did, and I can't underscore this enough, there is nothing more powerful than a superstar scorned. And as long as Draymond doesn't get into Luka's face and start telling him you're not all that, Jordan Poole doesn't start, mouthing off. No, like, they don't challenge Luka the way the Phoenix Suns did. You saw Luka. Luka didn't play with the same absolute fire in Game 1 that we last saw in the Phoenix Suns series. That, to me, is where they have to be smart and not ask for more out of Luka or produce more out of Luka than he's naturally going to give.
Yeah. Also, by the way, Phoenix plays downhill. They don't have the three-point shooters. When they're down by 10 late, Phoenix is not a good basketball team. Golden State's often more lethal down late because they take more threes. So Phoenix has a way to play. They got to develop an ability. Milwaukee took a while to figure out how to play from behind, not just downhill. I want to move to the East, and I said this earlier, is that patience may be a virtue, but it becomes cowardice and fear-based if you're patient for too long. At some point, this is not a 401k. Okay, and the Lakers pivot off players and are impatient. They got 8 titles in 35 years. Boston has 1, and it's the 1 year they went and got KG and Ray Allen. And Jaylen Brown's an excellent B+, and Marcus is an excellent defensive player, and Robert Williams is a nice limited big. If you can't beat a team with 2 undrafted guards, Milwaukee, Chris Middleton's out. They're better next year. Brooklyn won't be that much of a circus. Like, to me, if you can't win this series, Rick, for Boston, let's get over the Green Bay Packer theory of draft and develop. You got to go take a big swing. I keep Tatum. I consider moving anybody else to get a number 2 star. My take on that, agree or not?
I agree with the idea that if they can't beat the Miami Heat, then there is something seriously flawed with this Boston Celtics group. Now, taking Game 1, not having Marcus Smart, not having Al Horford, I think you're overrating Tatum. I don't put him in the category of the point forwards, the superstar point forwards, the Luka Doncic's, the LeBron James's, the Kawhi Leonard's. And you saw it in game one, because while he is a dynamic scorer and he can be a very good defender for his position, he is not by any stretch of the imagination a playmaker. That's why they missed Marcus Smart so much. He's also not a culture setter in terms of the toughness of the team. Again, Marcus Smart and Al Horford provided that. So as I look at this team, their biggest weakness is they don't have that tough, emotional leader if Marcus Smart is not on the floor. They don't have a playmaker. You saw with Memphis, John Morant goes out, you have Tyus Jones, tough, smart, backup point guard, highest assist turnover ratio in the game. That allowed them to still function without their big star. Jason Tatum couldn't fill that role without Marcus Smart not being there to be the playmaker. So for me, that's the missing piece. If you want to say, I'm holding on to Tatum and to Smart and I will change out everything else, I'm good with you. I'm good with you there, because I do think you can build around Tatum. I think he can become an even bigger star. But I don't put him in that category of, if I've got Kawhi or I've got LeBron or I've got Luka, like all other bets are off. I think Marcus Smart is a vital, vital piece of this team.
By the way, I want to ask you a Laker question. So a story leaked the other day, and everything leaks with the Lakers. If they're thinking it, it gets out. But usually because they want it out. So the story got out there that they were, and we only have a minute left, they were asking coaches, how would you make Westbrook work? I think the Lakers wanted that out. So it makes the rest of the league think they're not as desperate to get rid of him, right? Like, hey, we're going to make this work. I don't think they are. I think they're moving him.
Right.
But what did you make of that story leaking?
Two things. One, whenever you're looking for a coach, it allows you to canvass the league just to find out how people are thinking or to find new ideas. That's why you bring in 6, 7 coaches. You're just looking for information. You're looking for how people do things different. They are asking a question that they don't have an answer to. That's why they're asking everybody. I dare say Jeannie Buss, if she was, well, she's not going to take a bus, but if she was at the corner waiting for a bus, she'd probably be asking everybody there as well. What do you think we should do with Russ Westbrook? Because it is the number one question, and in terms of trying to make this team work. And the reality is they're not going to hire anybody that has a solution. Not if it means we're playing for a title. This is a flawed roster. It is not going to play for a championship. But that is what the demand of being a Laker and running the Lakers is. You're supposed to be playing, especially if you have LeBron James, you're supposed to be playing for championships. So I believe it's a fact-finding mission. And if somebody comes up with a great idea that they hadn't thought of, who knows? Might even get the job. Doesn't mean that they're going to get it done.
Rick Bucher, good seeing you, bud.
Same.
It's when anytime stuff gets out, generally people want it out. I've got secrets in broadcasting. You have secrets. They don't get out if we don't want them out. So when every single Lakers story gets leaked, there's usually somebody positioning themselves. So I thought the Westbrook story getting out, that they were asking coaches about Westbrook, the view was, hey, Lakers may not move off Westbrook. So when they call teams, they are perceived as not being desperate. We're going to make it work. They want to get rid of him tomorrow.